Good morning. New week. It is Monday morning, 6:30. Almost 100% with my health. I've been fighting some sort of bug over the last week. I sound worse than I feel, so I'm definitely getting better. Hopefully it's out of my system in a day or so, but I've had it since last week. Either or, the weekend, at least in Australia, is over. A new week of boxing is upon us. As you guys are checking in, tapping in, let me know where you guys are coming from. I'm going to talk a little bit about the recap, what happened this past weekend on the channel, our wins, our our losses, where we are moving forward. Also, like always, I appreciate all the support. Another winning weekend. We went into this week, not a lot of action. We knew that with boxing. We had the card in Africa in Benghazi, Libya. We had a non-televised card in Australia. I told you guys, if you're not comfortable, you don't want to be chasing bets. Just because there's one card or one fight doesn't mean you guys have to get action. So for my due diligence, I'm going to go over our picks that we won and we lost. The UFC happened this past weekend, and their UFC is always there for us during slow boxing weeks. But this is a boxing channel. I do want to let everybody know we've hit 21 in a row in the octagon, 21 picks in a row in the UFC. That's not by luck. I've been betting on the UFC for over a decade. I watch just as much UFC as I do boxing. I know the fighters. I've been interviewing the fighters. I know the game. I know the fight. I know the sport. I know the ins and outs. I've been watching it since its infancy in 1993. So my point is, just because this is a boxing first channel, but as we progress throughout the week, every week, we slowly get into the UFC, my picks, etc. There's a huge card in the UFC coming up, but there's a huge card in Riyadh coming up as well, boxing. So we're going to focus on that. But feel free to ask your questions, guys. Also, our Discord is growing. That access to our Discord is linked in these comments below. You join here on YouTube, Johnny Says Boxing Insider Group. You become part of our community on Discord. You get access to all of my picks, all of my bets. You get access to all the bettors. The community is growing. It's a cool spot, and the numbers speak for itself. So click that link. It's a couple bucks a month. It's a cool thing to do. It supports me. It supports the channel. B, more importantly, I really feel you become part of that community, the boxing community. And I have a couple different channels you'll have access to. You'll have access to the boxing channel, the MMA channel. You have access to the boys parlays. And then I have a private one called Johnny's Locks. And on that one, we hit this past weekend we'll talk about our losses. Africa, we did a long parlay. We missed on our long parlay, but we hit on our double method of victory locks. So that was good. The only fight I lost this weekend on my parlays was a French fighter, Umiha. He was a 4-1 favorite. I did a breakdown earlier last week. I said I wasn't going to bet on him. I never bet on French fighters. And I went against my own instinct. I got talked into it. And he lost. But not going to harp on that too much longer. What else? We hit on... You guys ask, every week I do an upset of the week. The upset of the week is going to be huge odds, right? So we have an upset of the week this week. Sam Goodman is a 5-1 dog. And then last week we had one in Australia. He was a 3-1. So with those bets, I give you an upset of the week based on some logic. And if they don't hit, they don't hit. I don't bet too heavy on it. If they do hit, we get to say that we know what we're talking about. MMA, UFC. Last week we hit an 8-legger. This week we hit, I think it was a 9-legger at 8-1. So we're grooving there. And I'm going to start taking some of your questions. Guys, 17 people. As you guys start rolling in, like the video. PJ, what's up, buddy? Let's get in the habit of tuning in, tapping in, and as soon as you come through, hit the like. Christian Morales, my man, what's up, buddy? Have a great day, too. We got a new week ahead. Christian, let's get after it. Your fellow Aussie. Meave and Raymond, appreciate you. Upset of the week, David Adele is looking very promising this week. Mevin, I can't argue that, but it's tough for me to pick on him. GOAT, Umaha was generally not good. He became an Olympian with the lack of using a jab. And Ricardo Velez, welcome to the chat, brother. Ricardo's gonna be asking us about Juan Manuel Marquez. He wants to know if Miguel Cotto should fight again. I think he was maybe should Sugar Ray Leonard fight again? PJ says Goodman would have to box the shit out of Ball to win. Goodman could box. I just think Goodman has to win more rounds to win. So I put up in our Discord and I put up on the channel an interesting prop bet because, guys, the odds are already out. And on the money line, Goodman's a 5-1 dog. But will the fight go the distance? Yes. That's 2-1. So that's going to be something to ponder about all week. I'm going to give you my official prediction tomorrow. I'm going to be covering that fight card, guys. If you were unaware, it's a banging card. You got Nick Ball versus Sam Goodman, Raymond Ford versus Abraham Nova, Moses Ituamo versus Dillian White, Alec Hall versus Singh, Filip Hrgovic versus Adele, and then hot prospect Tsutsumi. Tsutsumi, guys, is the guy who made his pro debut at the Ring event in Times Square. He fought in his first pro fight. I think that was him. I just want to double check because it says he's 7-0. Yeah, he's fought a lot. He fought... Maybe that wasn't him. I'm getting him confused. I think I'm getting him confused with someone else. That wasn't Tsutsumi. I'll get back to you boys on that one. Kane, what's up, brother? Boxing fan in the house. Guys, if you tailed my picks this weekend, let me know. And if you're able to support the cause, what does Gary say? Tip the bookie if you can. If not, just like this video. Mevan Raymond says he's 4-1. Okay, I got him. My bad, Mevan. You're right. I got him at 430. So you're right. He's 430-1. The three-way betting. Can't wait for this weekend. Kane, likewise. We got the best. If you guys are like me, like Kane, he boxes, GOAT boxes. If you guys are if you take care of the body, it's kind of like we got a big weekend of boxing fights ahead of us. So our week mentally, whatever you do for your career, whatever you do for a job, training your body, the mindset is like, all right, we got to get ready for a fight. It's kind of similar. If you need added motivation to train, that's kind of, advice I'd give you. Goat says, John, you getting any odds over 4.5 rounds? Let's check it, Goat. Odds over 4.5. Round betting market. Total rounds. Right now I'm getting over 10.5. Round betting. I'm only getting over 10.5. Alternate round betting. Yeah, right now I'm only getting over 10.5, and then either it's giving me options, prop bets on either Nick Ball or Sam Goodman picking the round overs. But I'll keep an eye on it. Julius Armstrong Pro Box TV card is money too. Yep, there's more than one card. The Pro Box card there's some good fights on there. Boxing fan says he's excited for Nova Ford. PJ, you didn't hear. PJ, you got to join the Discord. PJ, you see how all the boys got the blue stars? Click the link. Support the cause. You're here every day, mate. Couple bucks a month. Let's go. Julius Armstrong, Hrgovic, Adele, no distance. I like it. Kane, the over on Goodman Ball is a lock. Another bet I like right now, at first glance, is Ball versus Goodman. Will the fight go the distance? Yes. $2.15. $100 gets you money back plus 115. Adu, appreciate you, brother. Nice. Adu tailed your 4-leg parlay and made some coin. Appreciate you, Adu, man. Appreciate the tip. Appreciate the support in the Discord. Appreciate the support on YouTube. Thank you, boys. That goes a long way. More importantly, We're on the right track. I do tailed the tips. Also, guys, I do have, so because I'm in Australia, a lot of the boys are from, the US, and you guys have been asking me about, do I have Cash App or Venmo? Living in Australia, they don't allow access to that, but I do have PayPal. So I want to give a shout out to Los24, a couple other people today have been tipping me on my PayPal. And so that's another route that you could take if you're interested. What I'm going to try to do is just link that up in our Discord. The PayPal is a free app. All you need is my email, johnnystofco@icloud.com on the PayPal app. That's another way you could take care of the channel and continue to support me. So I appreciate it. We got Adu. I think our best bet also this past week in the UFC was staying away from certain fights. What do I always say, boys? Sometimes our best victories are the ones we don't bet on. And I know a lot of you guys bet on the Andre Fili versus C-Rod fight. And I stayed away from it only because I've been watching Andre Fili since he was 20 years old. Andre Fili is a kid who came up through Alpha Male. Uriah Faber had been coaching him his whole career. I think it was Danny Garcia as well. And he's one of the most frustrating fighters to watch in the octagon because he's so talented. He's had these up and down performances his entire career. And then C-Rod is a guy as well coming out of the Midwest, the regional scene, stud. He's had some stellar performances. So every time I see Fili on a fight card, I don't bet him. He's on my no bet list, just to let you know. So adding to our no bet list, if you guys didn't already know, domestic level heavyweights, Olympians not named Andy Cruz, Andre Fili in the octagon. I think that list is growing as we speak. Brawler, New Zealand. Appreciate you, brother. Salute, got the bag on your UFC lock. This is what I love to hear. See, I told you guys last week, Brawler, thank you for the tip, brother. I told you guys last week, whether you trail my tips or not, I'm happier when you guys hit. So on weekends where we're aligned and I hit and you hit based on following my picks, come on. That's what we do this for. That's called congruency, being congruent, having things aligned. The word of the day, congruency. So yeah, let's get after it. Dwayne Styles, I need to get on the UFC lock, the next one for sure. Dwayne, you used to have a star. So Dwayne, what we need you to do is rejoin our Discord just by resubscribing on YouTube. I think what happened when we launched our Johnny Says Insiders, some of you boys got gifted memberships. Dwayne, it's only a couple bucks a month. You click that link in our comment section, and then you could resubscribe and get access back. DJ in the house. B Money, appreciate you chipping, man. B Money, another Johnny Says Insider with access to our Discord, says thanks for the UFC picks and hooks it up with the tip, man. That's amazing. Dwayne says, Johnny, I'm trying to get in. All good, brother. Dwayne, you just gotta the link is there. Just click it, and because you are already a member, you'll be able to regain that access. Because Goat was gifted a membership, and then I guess YouTube doesn't even give you guys a heads up when that membership expires. And when he rejoined our Johnny Says Insider, he got his status back with that teal star. So guys, we got a big week ahead. We've had a big weekend. We've had, we find our victories. I told you guys that last week. On a non-degenerate perspective as well. That's another big thing I always like to clarify on the channel, is that because we're betting on the sport, you're not going to get a degenerate narrative or rhetoric from my end. So when I'm saying we're going to find our victories last week, it wasn't like we're going to gamble on esports or ping pong. I said that as long as there are fights, as long as we have either boxing or MMA, we're going to find some victories. We are architects, we are archaeologists. And remember, like I always say, is sometimes the best wins are the ones we don't bet on. Even though we're up and we won and the boys won, I'm still pissed off I bet on the French guy. Like, this is 100% fact how I'm wired. We've hit 21 in a row in the UFC. We just hit a 9-1 money line parlay. We hit our 2 lock of the method of victory lock of the week in Africa, the light heavyweight Ramirez, by stoppage. But the one fight I'm still pissed at is Umaha, the loss. So, I got to get over that. I hate losing. Adu, what's up, buddy? Adu says, keen for your take on Hrgovic Adela. So, yeah, on paper, Adu, I am going on paper, like first instinct. I've been looking at it for a few weeks now. I agree. Hrgovic is nothing amazing. Unless I'm not seeing something with Adelaide, unless I'm not seeing something, I'm just not too keen. I'm going to give you a winner. I might not bet the fight, put it that way. I'm going to break the fight down. I'm going to do my stats don't lie video. I'm going to give you my prediction. But like I always say, this, in my opinion, is a fringe heavyweight contest. And we know at this level with the heavyweights, one touch of the chin, can end the show. So when I'm looking at those odds, Hrgovic is a big favorite. It might be one of these things that I might not bet on it, to be honest with you. David Adelaide is a 550 dog. We'll see. We got time. Dwayne Styles, Australia doesn't have FD or MGM Sportsbook. No. Dwayne, my book is Sportsbet. PJ, do you think Moses or Dylan White will go over? PJ, the interesting thing on that bet is earlier in the week, last week, Moses was $1.02. There's actually money coming in on Dillian White. I mean, Moses is $1.09 now, which still is a wide dog, a wide favorite. Do I think it'll go over 4.5? Because that money line is so far, I'm probably going to stay away from that fight as well in terms of putting it on a parlay. I'm going to break it down. I'll do a stats don't lie video. I was thinking early stoppage, PJ. I was thinking Moses is going to put on a show. He's getting a lot of publicity. I was going to ask you guys that. Do you think the publicity from the mainstream media is warranted with Moses? If you guys follow DAZN, they're sharing footage of there's this global, this British superstar singer named Ellie Goulding. They're propping him up a lot. Sometimes that kind of, I get hesitant with a young guy. So we'll see. Julius Armstrong says Moses 1-6. Julius, that's what I was feeling. That's exactly where my head was at. Rambler says Hrgovic is with Abel now. His last fight as well. Yep, Rambler's right. Rambler says, have you got any insider spies in Big Bear Mountain? That's where Abel Sanchez should. I actually do. I actually do in Big Bear. An OG spy, actually. He's a buddy of mine. He goes all the way back to our days with Kelly Pavlik. And when Kelly left Youngstown, when Kelly left Jack Lowe to go out to California and train with RGBA, they made some connections out there. This goes back 2009, 2010. I'm going to send some messages out like I always do. Guys, if you didn't know, every fight week, big boxing week, I have like a small little email list, text list of my old school mates from Youngstown and America that I send out and be like, hey, anybody got any insider info? I mix that with, I get messages from our Discord. I get emails from people from Instagram. So yeah, I do have, now that you think, I do have a sourced list of insider info. So Rambler, I'll get back to you. Meven says Adele's trainer Adam Booth used to train David Hay. Yep. Guys, at this level, all the boys are going to have trainers. You know what I'm saying? Guys at this level aren't really going to come from a super obscure camp. And every now and then when they do, the obscure camp turns into a legitimate camp. Julius says, if you're trying to get spicy out. Julius, see, I was thinking the same thing. You initially said 1-6. I was looking at 1-3, 1-2, even something tiny on an early first rounder. Who knows? Who knows? I'm gonna wait to see what the Discord's saying, because I'm gonna ask Chilltown that too. I want to see Chilltown's perspective on that stoppage. King Ty, what's up, buddy? Dillian White doesn't look the same when he's old. This fight is yes, Dillian or King Ty. King, what do we call these? What do we call these matchups? This isn't a crossroads. Dillian had his crossroad fight 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? This is what you said, in my opinion, a prop up fight, a sort of, I don't want to call a feature. It's an opportunity for Moses on an international card that's going to be streamed everywhere to go viral. Dillian White's going to be there to get hit. I think it's gonna be. I think for me, my instinct is early stoppage, 1 through 3. I know a lot of you boys the same guys who pick draws. I'm sure there's bettors out there who pick rounds. I can see if you're trying to get sexy and want to pick a round with this Moses fight, I'd go early. I'd go 1 through 3. Dillian White didn't fight for over 2 years. Yeah, and he's old. I mean, how old's Dylan now? They are heavyweights, though. You know what I'm saying? They are heavyweights. Anything could happen. He could get clipped above the ear, rattled. Anything could happen. No matter what we pick, boys, we know how this game goes. We go into it sweating. Goat says one of the better pros in my gym fighting this weekend. He's going to be fighting on some televised cards soon. What a nickname, Adonis the Promise Wilkins. I'm going to write that name down. Goat, could you share that in our Discord actually? And Goat, if you're not linked up with me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, Goat. If we're not already linked, and if I don't know that we're linked, and let's say we're already talking on a thread in Insta, make me aware of that because I have an Instagram reach as well. A lot of people follow me there from my old fitness days, and I know a lot of the boxers, like Mike Tyler. Follow Mike Tyler TV, who's in our Discord group. He's a 10-0 pro fighter from the UK. He's fighting soon. And so when he has upcoming fight news, he shares it with me on Instagram, and then I post it on my Instagram, and that has big reach. And then I also have, if you guys didn't know, I don't prop up the group too much here because I don't want to ask you guys to keep going from space to space, but I have a Facebook group called Johnny Says Boxing with about 37,000 people. So I could share the boxing news there as well. And that's with any of you guys. If any of you guys want any of your content shared, let's say you have YouTube channels, or you're fighters, or you're a coach, send it to me either on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll share it in those groups as well. Rambler, Abel Sanchez used to train Golovkin. Yeah. Look out for my guy. Dylan White was getting knocked down the side ring. Okay, go. What's the name on Insta? Or just send me on Insta, because everybody has different names. You guys keep me guessing all the time. White is a sacrificial lamb. They throw Moses and Alec. Yeah, I think so too. It definitely has that vibe. Are you guys getting any prop bets on that? Actually, we are. Guys, Moses by knockout is $1.22. I mean, that's not a lot of value, but if you guys are asking me my lock of the week, I think this is such a slam dunk. If I were to even post this on our Discord, hey boys, my lock of the week, Moses by knockout, you guys would be like, oh, no shit, mate. But $1.22, to put things in perspective, when young rising prospect, the American heavyweight, Josh Edwards fought 3 weeks ago. Josh was $1.02 on the money line, and I think $1.06 to win by stoppage, by knockout. Moses is $1.22. You throw Moses by knockout at $1.22. Let's build something real quick. You take Moses by knockout at $1.22, meaning that I wouldn't do this, but we'll use big figures here. You put $10,000 on Moses to win by knockout. You get your money back plus $2,200. That's a return of investment at 22 is actually not bad if you're using it if you're comparing that to other sort of sources of return of investments. But let's add something to that. People were kind of making me second guess my Raymond Ford pick, but I think Abraham Nova is not going to have much for Ford. If you put Raymond Ford on the money line and Atoma by knockout, my app is giving me $1.40. So now you got, PJ, we're just using this for figures. So Moses by knockout, Ford on the money line, 2-leg parlay. It's $1.40. 10,000 gets you 4,000 back. Now that is a return of investment. When you're looking at it with those figures, I mean, I wouldn't be sweating Raymond Ford on the money line. I wouldn't be sweating Moses by knockout. That's pretty insane. And then you sprinkle. I'll wait till I get my Pro Box odds. Guys, for a 2-leg lock, I think I might lock that in sooner rather than later. I want to get the Pro Box odds because the boys are talking about Pro Box and they're not wrong. So we got who's headlining that pro? There's fights this Wednesday in Riyadh. We're probably not. There's fights on DAZN this Wednesday in Riyadh. We're probably not going to get action. Let me know. Are you guys getting any props on these fights this Wednesday in Riyadh or no? I'm not betting on Pro Box. They're probably fighting for their bus. I don't know, mate. So Goat says no shot, Nova wins. Yeah, Ford's easy bread on the money line. So Goat, we put Ford on the money line and Moses by stoppage. It's $1.40 already. We sprinkle one more. Wait as the week progresses. We sprinkle one more and go heavy on it. Let's do it. The question is, can Ford stop Nova? And that's if you want to get, Julius. It just depends on your wagering amounts. Rambler, I disagree though, Rambler. I understand you have your own method, your methodologies, which I respect. So I'm not talking you in or out of anything. But I do find, I make a lot of money on the Long Beach, the LA Fight Night cards. I forget who the promoter is. We have a long history of winning on those fight cards. Pro Box as well, especially the international Pro Box cards. Wasn't Angelo Leo? Wasn't the Angelo Leo fight card Pro Box? We hit huge on that fight card. Goat says you could do Ford money line over 5.5 on Ball. See, if I'm thinking about complete locks, now we haven't even talked about Ball or Goodman yet. The only pushback, Goat, I'd give you on the over for Ball Goodman at this point is that you'd have to think about, I'm not saying Ball would stop Goodman early, but even in the Cesar Vaca fight, Goodman got cut in the second round above his eye. Nova has power. Yeah, Nova. I don't know, man. Raw Dog, the way you get the Discord link, Raw Dog, is you click the link that's pinned in these threads. So go to the comments. You'll see Johnny says boxing VIPs. You join here on YouTube. You get access to the Discord. By joining here on YouTube, Raw Dog, you see like Julius has the blue star, Goat has the teal star. It's a couple bucks a month. You get more features on the YouTube. You get more accessibility here. You get to post here. But more importantly, you get to our Discord. You'll see Chilltown Boxing in there. You'll see Muscles in there. You'll see a bunch of names from here and there. A lot of fighters. And the community's growing. And we're hitting every week. The receipts speak for themselves. Julia says the Japanese boxer, Kaius Avshak. Yeah, Sutsumi, 100%. It's ending early. Are you getting props on it? Yeah, Sutsumi's $1 though. Yeah, there's no props on that yet. Julius, my upsets are Ball versus Goodman distance and Ball. Yeah, I like... yeah, me too, Julius. I just shared in the Discord, will Ball and Goodman go the distance is $2.10. And you know what? Considering it's plus money, you're right. Those would... So I guess those would be considered upsets. I guess if we're looking at an upset, quote unquote, related to odds being in plus money, it's a good point. I like that too, Goat. Rambler, if Josh Padley is now at 130, he should fight. I think he is, isn't he? I think Bilotti is fighting Padley. I think they made that official last week. I'm pretty sure like 2 weeks after Bilotti lost to Gardner, Bilotti signed to fight Padley in October. Somebody fact check me on that. Come over to the money side. Boxing fan, my man. He knows what time it is. Pedro, what's up, buddy? Yeah, so Pedro Cabrales brings up the point I was talking about when we just mentioned my hesitation on picking will the fight go the distance, Ball Goodman. Before we jump to an impulsive money bet, we have to do a reasoning. Does Ball fight dirty? How do we define dirty? Does Ball come in crashing and lead with his head? And sometimes in the clinch, when he throws his hooks, he uses his elbows and all that? Yes. He's a shorter fighter. He's a slugger. He's a marauder. He's on his front foot. These things do happen. The biggest upset since I started watching this channel was Carrington. Julius, brother, that was a nice one. Getting Bruce by decision was real nice. We hit a on a single bet, yeah, and then we hit one. I didn't share it with you boys. It was when Muhammad Ali's grandson fought 3 weeks ago in MMA, and we picked the plus 750 dog to sub him. A regional guy out of the Midwest, and we hit that too. I just didn't share it with you guys because at the time, a month ago, I really wasn't talking too much about my UFC. We didn't even have our Discord a month ago. But yeah, as of recently, the Shushu by decision was a big hit for us. The thing about Carrington, when people try to find or slate his skill set, even his detractors are actually his fans when you think about it, because people say, oh, he kind of plays with his food, or sometimes he doesn't have a killer instinct. All that, those sort of things, and if you want to believe that, those sort of things come with time. Those are more like, we watched Hitchens finish George, and we picked that one. And in the whole narrative, I think with Carrington as well, in relation to the performance we saw with Hitchens is, all it takes is one performance to get confident in your approach in the firefight when you have a guy hurt and you want to pour it on and you feel that you can't get hurt and you don't want to put yourself at risk. Because, for a young fighter, I think Shushu's already 29. I mean, the next few, he's going to be in either world title fights moving forward, is you do want to side on the air of caution. You can't be reckless. Not every fight's going to look like, Corrales Castillo or, Ward Gotti. Pedro says Arrington is overdependent on his counter game, in my opinion. Yeah, he needs to rely more on his boxing. Carrington is, he's definitely has, he has the, there's obviously, people are high on him for a reason. No fighter is a finished product, though, in my opinion. Nova's coming for the knockout. This is his last shot. No argument there. The question is, do you think he's going to be able to, find Raymond Ford and do it? I might have to go. Rambler says I might have to go to Dave Allen's funeral. I think he's going to get bashed, as Ozzy said. You don't give Dave Allen a shot? People are afraid of that fight. Boxing fan, that's insider information. Come join. Let's get it. Guys, we're about 30 minutes in. As you guys, we keep continuing this. I'm going to stay on for another 30. Let's like the video. Let me know who you guys have going into this week. We got a couple fight cards. Let me know if you're getting your prop bets. We already put together a nice little juicy two-leg at $1.40. Before I post any locks, I'm going to wait until at least my Wednesday, your Tuesday, to see if we get more options. There's a card in Riyadh this Wednesday with some recognizable names on it. So I'm interested to see if we're going to be able to get those opportunities. Pedro says, I don't know, is the guy highly rated? Ford's beating Nova easily. Makhmudov. So Pedro, if he says, I don't know, is the guy he's fighting still that highly rated? If you're talking about Dave Allen, go to Makhmudov's tape. The one thing we know about Dave Allen, though, he's tough as nails. 24 wins, 19 knockouts. He's been around for a while. He's only 33, man. I thought he was older. Makhmudov, 20-2. That fight's going down in Sheffield. I like Dave Allen too. I don't want to put Dave Allen on my no bet list, But the last two times I've bet on a Dave Allen fight, I've lost. Obviously, both Johnny Fisher fights. So he's kind of an interesting one. Makhmudov is 20-2 with 19 knockouts. He got stopped against, yeah, okay, hold on. This is the guy who got stopped against Guido Vianello. We saw Kiki Torres. Kiki Torres outboxed Guido. And Kiki got caught with a shot, didn't really get wobbled, and Kiki landed a big shot in the second. That was actually a fun fight. We know Guido, Olympian from Italy, so he has some class to him. But Guido knocked Makhmudov out in the 8th round, and then Ajit knocked him out in the 4th round. Who was Makhmudov's best win? He's coming off of a knockout win against Ricardo Brown in the 1st. That was like easy money. I don't know, boys. I got to see the odds, but I like Dave Allen in this fight. I got to be honest with you. Dave Allen could crack. Allen's YouTube channel's a bomb. Love that dude. I'm going to have to follow it. I don't even know. I don't follow anybody. My YouTube, the people I follow on YouTube are like true crime. And then I've been going down a rabbit hole of like, I don't get political, but like this influx internationally of these protests throughout like all of Europe. So I've been following people walking around the towns with these cameras, but I'll check out Dave Allen. Do you think Kiki Torres is ready? Pedro, Kiki's one of my favorite heavyweights right now. I think he's ready. I do think he's ready. I think his skill set is well-rounded enough. We know the amateur pedigree, what he's done so far in the pros. I think it's time for him to take those steps. You know what I mean? And I think that he would do well against Jarrell Miller. Cypher in the house. What's good? Appreciate you tapping in. Ford is going to knock out Nova. We didn't hear it first, though, Cypher. The boys have been talking about this fight for a while. I think stylistically, Ford, look, over Ford's last few fights, the beef on him was that he wasn't really sitting on his shots. He wasn't offensive-minded enough. He wasn't really exciting enough. And then his last few fights, you've seen him turn the dial up on his offense, be more offensively minded, sit down more on his shots. And Abraham Nova is a guy that's well outspoken about getting on his front foot and going to put Ford in positions for Nova to get the knockout. So what does that mean? Ford's going to be presented with a guy who's going to put himself in a position for Ford to land shots. It's a good matchup. Pedro says, if I were moving him, would you throw him in there? Now, Pedro, a lot of that has to do with, we'd have to really dissect the landscape of the heavyweight division domestically first and then internationally. And we could kind of do that now. Domestically in America, I would make that fight. It's very, I don't want to, it's not as strong in America as it is in other places in the world. And I feel that it gives the opportunity to a guy like Kiki Torres to put his name in the hat to make that next jump. The only way you make the next jump in your career is by challenging yourself. We need to get back to that in boxing. Is guys, how old's Kiki now? He's not 22 years old anymore. He's 26. I mean, he's getting close, mate. He's getting at 26 years old. I mean, he's not going to be in his physical prime as a heavyweight probably for a few more years in his late 20s. I like how they've been moving him. I want to see him. He's 13-11 knockouts. Yeah, he last fought in April against Guido. He's only fought once this year. He fought 4 times in 2024. Yeah, does anybody know anything about any upcoming fight news with Kiki Torres? Is he injured? Is he recovering from anything? I really haven't looked into it. Cypher, we already heard that too, brother. So Cypher's dropping some breaking news, but we already had it in our Discord. Cypher Entertainment, we got insiders in the Nova camp. So all the boys in the Discord found this out a couple days ago. So you probably found it out from one of our boys, to be honest with you. Julius, Nova gets hit clean and often. Nova in his 30s has been knocked out before at 26. Yep. I think he's cashing out. If I was Torres, I would demand the Miller fight. Yeah, Julius, that's what I'm asking. I'm on his box right now. Anybody got any news on Kiki Torres? Yeah, that was in the amateurs though. I mean, you'd be shocked how many boxers get flattened in sparring that you don't know about. You'd be shocked with how many times your favorite fighter got knocked out in sparring. Yeah, he's a very slick heavyweight, man. Undersized but fast, good reflexes, awkward, still developing his pro game. Nice little heavyweight. He's one of my favorite heavyweights right now. So there's a fight card. There's a lot of fights this weekend. There's RG Cortez is fighting. Boxing fan, yeah, we got the behind the scenes in the Discord. Because put it in boxing fan, before the news about Ford and Nova came out in our Discord, two people already texted it to me. And I was going to wait. And then I looked in the Discord an hour later and it was already being shared. I was like, cool, I don't have to share it. But yeah, there's one of the boys in the Discord is either in the camp with Nova or knows somebody in the camp. And yeah, that's exactly what's been going around in the zeitgeist of boxing gamblers or boxing bettors is this rhetoric about Nova. I mean, you kind of, whenever you get rumors in anything or an insider info in anything, I always side on the air of caution. The truth is usually somewhere in the middle. If they're saying this about the fighter and then this about the other guy, I always kind of like, all right, take that with a grain of salt. It's probably a little bit closer to this than there. And that's how with anything, politics, rumors and anything. The truth is usually somewhere near the middle. There's a card. DAZN, DAZN is streaming. There's a Caribe Royale card. Only thing that's similar is that they're undersized and come forward. Satsumi, Hergovich, Ford, Goodman, Atama. There's a UFC Fight Pass card with Trinidad and Para. There's the Pro Box card. Yeah, there's a lot of fights this weekend. Just be careful this weekend. Pick and choose. Just because we're going to get options on, a couple weeks ago we had like 25 fights, I think, on my betting app. Doesn't mean you have to bet on all 25 of them. So Yakubov, who's 22-1, is fighting Foster, who's 19-2. This is a good fight. Guys, if you go to boxlive.com, they have the Pro Box card up. There's some good fights on this card. I think Torres has a lot of dimensions despite not having a lot of sparring. Nova only got knocked out once. That was by a heavy puncher. Pedro Ford could crack. Yeah, Ford's going to have... So you're telling me there's guys sitting here who's... Is anybody picking Nova? Because I don't want to get caught. We don't want to get caught in an echo chamber. Is anybody here picking Nova? And if you're picking Nova, why? Don't tell me you're picking Nova just because he's the underdog. Does anybody see a path to victory for Nova? A big enough path to bet on him? Because I haven't seen anyone say that yet. And that could always be a dangerous thing. Because when Resendez beat Plant, nobody was giving me a path to victory for Resendez. Nobody. It wasn't until Resendez won that all these people were coming out the woodwork that said, I told you. And I was like, no, you didn't. Nobody said Resendez. Unless you were, in his camp or dating him, you weren't saying he was going to beat Plant. Nobody was saying he was going to beat Plant. So if you're seeing a path to victory for Nova, I want to hear it because I don't see it. And that's one of the biggest points is what Pedro's saying right there. Inactivity is a real thing. Like at any age. I don't want to just say over the age of 30, but at any age. In boxing, inactivity is a real thing. So as the week goes on and we get closer to fights, I want to see people selling me on Nova because I'm not seeing it. It's important for us to second guess though. But I think this is easy work for Raymond Ford. It's a late replacement too. It's not like Nova was signed to fight Ford. Kakachi was signed to fight Ford. And then you go to the next option. It's kind of like you're out with your boys, right? This is how I always look at late replacement fights. You're out with your mates and you know, there's a group of girls that are out and the girl that you like or the girl that your boy likes isn't talking to him. He's talking to you or one of your mates. And then she finds out that that dude is either with somebody or isn't interested. And then she starts talking to the other mates. It's like, you weren't the first choice, dude. Like, Nova wasn't the first choice. You know what I mean? Like, you got to think about that. There's a reason Nova wasn't the first choice. I think this is easy work for Raymond Ford. If Nova mascot jumps in to help. Resendez was at least active. He was. Yeah, for sure. Nobody picked him, though. What a great performance by Resendez, too. He looked great. I'm excited for his mascot, boxing fan. And he had good wins and had the one hiccup against Garcia, which he was winning. Yeah, but no, but all, yeah, exactly. So Pedro's, I think, proving our point. I don't like 30-plus age favorites with knockout losses. Julius says, I don't like 30. Okay. Yeah. Julius, that's a valid point. You're referring to Caleb, right? It's a valid point. Rambler says, how tall am I? I'm 5'11", Rambler. So, yeah, my dad was 6'4", but my mom's 4'11". So when I'm next to my Italian family, my mom's side, I'm the tallest. When I'm next to my father's side, Slavics, he was from Czechoslovakia or Prague, I'm the shortest. So I'm content. I'm very fortunate and grateful with where I'm at, and things that were sort of given to me out of my control. We don't get to choose how tall we are. You know what I'm saying? Nova is coming off of a win. Pedro says, me personally, I like to see Resendez. Mate, let's go. Pedro. You need to be a matchmaker. That's a good fight. What are we doing with Fulgham? We just throw Darius away now? DFG, Darius Fulgham, we just throw him out? Even though I picked Beck to win. A lot of you boys, you 3D boys, you 3D boxing boys picked Darius to win. It was a close fight. Darius looked good early. But Beck did what we thought Beck was going to do and eventually be a little bit too much, and that's what happened. Beck's a tough out. I'd love to see Beck versus Resendez. Anyone got any news? What weight class is Resendez going to? Is he going to stay at 68? Because he's isn't he a natural 60? Nova been fighting at club level. He's washed. Yeah, it's tough for me to find any sort of path for Nova to win. Unless Nova just cashes in and does the whole Frankie Rod and just gets on the gear, gets on the juice. It's like, let's go. Let's get some EPO in this boy. Let's get pumped up. Let's get our cardio through the roof. Let's keep our chin down, and let's outwork Ford. I could see Nova getting stopped. I don't know if that's going to be my play, but I could see Nova getting stopped. What are his... I got to see more... Guys, we got all week, right? I got to see media. I got to see what Nova looks like during the weight cut. I got to see what Nova's saying to the reporters. I got to see Raymond Ford. I got to see how Raymond Ford's walking. I got to see how Raymond Ford is talking. I want to see where his head's at. Sometimes when you get a late replacement opponent, that's also a dangerous thing because you kind of have a letdown. We just saw this yesterday. We got the victory, but with Steve Erceg. Steve Erceg was, you know, in a last second fight, and it started off a bit shaky, and that's being a bit, kind. And then Erceg ended up being too much and then ended up getting the victory. But that was MMA. And boxing, same way. Sometimes when you have a last second opponent, it's hard to get up for. So we'll see. I want to see how they're kind of carrying themselves. Pedro says DFG. I know. Pedro answers my question about Darius Fulgham. He needs a comeback fight. I know, mate. Let's see where he's at. You know the issue now with DFG is, he's been marketed and it's well documented. He'll be the first to tell you that he's college educated, that he has a career, that he doesn't need boxing. He said that before. That's why I didn't pick him to beat Beck. Now, when you have a guy like that who is undefeated, who's on a trajectory, who then loses, you got to then question or wait at least to see where his head's at. Because maybe, does he really want to still fight? That sounds crazy. Because, a lot of people are high on him. Grand Arrivals, I'm ready to examine. Yes, Julius. That's one of my favorite, it's my favorite side of the game. Because if you guys didn't, my background, my undergrad is in psychology. So my bachelor's from university is in sports psych. So I use psychology in my coaching business with my clients regarding nonverbal communication. If for instance, the client parks at my gym, I'm watching them walk to the entrance. How are they walking? Where's their posture at? Where are they carrying their head? I do all of that with my clients and with the fighters during fight week. The fact we don't get our money back if we lose a bet in the I know, bro. Adu, I'm still salty about that. Same, dude. Galal Yafai, salty. PJ, Nova is not a bad fighter. Yeah, he's not in his prime, though, is he? Would you say Nova is in his prime? I mean, anybody who's going to be in a feature, Nova, dude, he's been at the world level. No one's saying Nova's a bad fighter. Nova could box. But let's sit Abraham Nova. Guys, Nova's only 31. Brings up a valid point. Abraham Nova's only 31. He's 24-3, 17 knockouts. He's only been stopped once. He's 5'9", 72-inch reach. Are we overlooking Abraham Nova? Guys, I mean, he lost to Cortez and Shaky Foster in a very close fight. Robesi stopped him in the 5th. That seems like it was 14 years ago. That was only 3 years ago. That's insane. That was only 3 years ago when he fought Shaky Foster. Or no, Robesi Ramirez stopped him 3 years ago. He fought Foster last year. He was active in 2024. He just fought a couple months ago. Guys, are we overlooking Abraham Nova? Because people are saying that he's not active. He just fought. He fought a couple months ago and he stopped Ivan Miraz in the 3rd round. And he fought the end of last year as well to a draw. This is where we have to overthink our picks. 5'9". Ford's 5'7". The last 3, Ford's 2-1. Nova's 1-1-1. A close split to Shaky, which could have gone. Now, Andre Cortez lost to UD. I don't know. Here we go. This is where the second guessing comes into play. I just thought Nova was older. I thought Nova was in his mid-30s. Nova's only 31. He's in his prime still. What do you guys think about that? I'm gonna do more film. I'm gonna upload my. So guys, I'm gonna stay on for a couple more minutes. I'll give you an outlook the rest of the week. I'm doing a Stats Don't Lie video on Ford versus Nova. Stats Don't Lie video on Goodman versus Ball. I'm gonna get to the Moses fight. I might get to the Hergovich fight. We also have Andrew Maloney versus Argy Cortez. Like I said, we have the Pro Box card. There's a card in Riyadh. I'm going live. I'm gonna be doing 2 lives a day all week. So however you can, stay locked in with the channel. When you're on the lives, because you always like the lives. Tap in, you're commenting, we're doing our back and forth. Hit the like button, subscribe, join our Discord. The Discord's popping. Click the link that's in the pinned comments. Fresh BX says, I think Shock and Ford go about things in a similar way. I like Foster's. I think Foster's a way more classier though, with everything. Ford to me still has visible kind of holes in how he operates. So maybe it's sometimes when I'm watching Raymond Ford box, it's almost like he's thinking too much. My coach always used to say, the second you start thinking in there, you start being hesitant. And the second you start being hesitant, you start getting caught. So it really, like having a focus and having trust in your training and trust in the game plan will help you sort of achieve a certain flow state in there. You don't really want to be overthinking things in exchanges. That's when you're getting caught. You want to be reacting to things. When we're thinking, we're not being intuitive. So when I see Ford, I see sort of like gaps in that. When I see Foster, I see a much more intuitive approach. And I think at this level, and that's why, like, I'm not really a Raymond Ford fan. I'm not a fan of fighters, so I'm not saying I'm a fan of. It's just that I'm not one of these guys that tell you Raymond Ford's one of the best in the world. I'm not really sold on him as being world elite. I just see like there's lapses. I do like how he's been trending as of late. I do think Thomas Matisse was put there for him to stop. You know what I'm saying? Thomas Matisse, the gunman, Cleveland, Ohio. On paper, he has good stats. But Ford was struggling kind of figuring out Matisse's sort of ring generalship. And Matisse is a veteran, so he knows how to operate. Tough guy to get out of there. But I didn't leave that fight thinking Raymond Ford's the one. That's all I'm saying. And Fresh just says his last 2 opponents didn't fight him back. Yet Nova doesn't fight like that. True. Nova is going to. You're siding on the air of Nova's going to bring the best out of Ford. And some guys need that. Ford was getting touched up by Ball and Komotov. I think Ford versus. Yeah, Ford's gotten way better since then. It was only a year ago. The Komotov fight, I mean, he did stop him. I mean, getting touched. I mean, some of my favorite fighters ever are guys who get dropped and get touched and losses. Chico Corrales, Gotti, the Motor City Cobra, Tommy Hearns, Kelly Pavlik, Golovkin, James Toney. Like boxing, you're gonna get touched, dude. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get dropped. You're gonna lose fights. It's all part of the game. But that I never use that as sort of a sort of gauge for when I'm breaking film down. But you do break Fresh BX. Fresh BX brought up a good point though about Nova's style. He is right. Matisse didn't want to fight him. Matisse didn't want to fight Ford. He didn't want to trade with him. Didn't want to exchange with him. He was comfortable with just getting through the fight and getting his check, which kind of upset me a bit. I was kind of disappointed in Matisse. I thought Matisse was going to give him a firefight. Maybe he felt something early. Maybe Ford has more power than I give him credit for. We're gonna see. Boxing fan, I don't recall Nova looking great since he got stopped. And that was a while ago too. I don't know, man. He got stopped. It was a while ago. 3 years ago. Robesi Ramirez. Yeah, that stoppage loss isn't aging well considering what Robesi. I mean, granted, Robesi pretty much got his career derailed. Um, and you know, some people say he's not even going to fight again. What Rafa did to him twice. Nova will be the biggest puncher for his face. King Tai Nova isn't beaten for. Don't ever, yeah. King Tai. My play is no distance on the forward fight. Nova gets hit easy, and Nova's defense is not good for it. It's going to be catch him all night. King Tai, this title fight opponent, hit harder than Nova. So yeah, I mean 126. He isn't a natural 130. True, guys. I got to wrap this up. We got a lot of work to do, boys. We had a good weekend, but the weekend is over. We got to turn the page. Full week of fights in front of us. I know no one's brought it up, but later in the week I'll talk about the UFC. I'll do one live stream on my Thursday. The second live stream on my Thursday will be for the UFC. This is all boxing. We got a lot of work to do. I'm going to be uploading my Stats on Live videos. I'm going live again in a few hours. Wherever you are in the world, I appreciate your support. Like the channel. Join our Discord. That link is in the comments pinned. And let's get after this. One more question. Pedro, that takes a factor. Get knocked out. Did having less water in your brain damage? Dehydration. For sure. All right, guys. I'll be back with you boys in probably about 4 hours. I got to go train. Let's get after it. Double hook.